What's up guys, and welcome back to another F1 2020 My Team career mode, where we're bringing Brabham back to the very top of Formula 1. As you can see here, we're going to advance time and get our weekly resource points in, running costs in, and get the aero and chassis focus, as you can see on the left, done. And hopefully that'll improve our car as quickly as possible. And now it's time for the car reveal. Car reveal time. Revealing it to the rest of the Formula 1 grid and to everyone else out there in the world looking forward to seeing Brabham back in Formula 1. There we go. The green and gold. Looks so good to have those colours back in Formula 1. I'm sure Aston Martin next year, after they take over from Racing Point, will probably have something similar, I'd imagine, but it feels good to see Brabham back in F1 again, and with those classic green and gold colours, really means a lot, and it looks bloody amazing. We'll advance our time again, get those weekly resource points in. Pre-season advertisement campaign, hopefully that's brought in some good team acclaim there. And now we're ready for the first race of the season. But first, I'd like to go down to our R&D tree and try and make some upgrades. So I've actually got 1,700 resource points at the moment. And I think I'd like to do an upgrade on the powertrain to begin with, which I think will help us a lot in a straight line, get Honda really working better, as close to as we can to get to Mercedes and Ferrari. Then I think we'll improve our chassis. I'm going to go for a central under tray upgrade. It's going to cost us 550 resource points. I'll go for secondary wing flaps on the front end. I think we really want the front of the car to be working as well as possible to try and get into the corners properly and help us through the corners, because ultimately our car's going to feel pretty bad in the first round, so we're going to have to try and improve our grip overall. And I particularly personally like a car that's got a sharp front end, so that's what we're going to go for, and hopefully soon we'll start to eke our way up the grid and hopefully get some good results. Here we are at the Melbourne Grand Prix, ready for first practice to try and gather as many resource points as possible to help develop our car and to get a feel for the track and how the car's handling first time out for the Brabham F1 team. Here we go, sunny Melbourne. This is my home city. This is where I live. So it's the home Grand Prix for the team, being an Australian brand, an Australian name from an Australian family. Obviously I don't sound Australian, spent most of my time in England, but this is where I live now, and it's such an awesome track through Albert Park, such a pretty setting.
Morning boss, Jeff here. Thanks again for bringing me on board. You've found a lot of talented people for this team. I can't wait to see what we can accomplish. Our journey to the Constructors' Championship starts here today, and the car is ready to head out whenever you are.
Morning, boss. I like the sound of that. Jeff. Right, here we go. Ready for our first session. I'll do the first of all, I've got a track acclimatization, then we'll run through tyre management, fuel management, ERS management, and then we'll end up with our qualifying pace and our race strategy. So we're going to head out on track for the first time now, and we're going to drive out, let the team take off those tyre blankets and let us out for the first time with Brabham back in Formula 1. As the Mercedes goes past, I can't wait for that black livery to be put on those cars, because I think it looks amazing. Car heading out now, first time out. How good does it look to have the green and gold colours of the Brabham back on track? These sessions are really important because we've got to try and build up our resource points as much as possible, do the track acclimatizations, get the most out of our car so that eventually we can improve up the grid as best as possible. First track acclimatization done, managed to get everything done as best as possible. It's important to try and purple everything so that you can get the most out of each resource point available. If you were to have only greens, then you're going to get less resource points, which means you can develop your car not as fast. Now we're on to tyre management. This one's going to be important also to understand how durable the tyre is at this circuit. Different circuits are going to have better durability than others on the tyre management, so it's going to be important to understand that as we go through into the weekend, and for the race strategy later on it's going to be really important to find out how that works. And do we have good tyre management? Is our car kind to the tyres, or is it too aggressive, and are we going to use them too much? Lewis Hamilton leading the way from Bottas with a Mercedes 1-2 and Leclerc in third place. If we head down here, Mick just ahead of us by only a tenth. And P18, I didn't really go for a time. I was just doing the practice programs. I haven't done my quali or my race run yet. I'll wait for practice 2. But it's good to see our initial pace quicker than Gasly, Russell, Magnussen and Latifi. It shows that our car's pretty good. So hopefully we can carry that on into qualifying. In the quali sim, quickly to the left and then the right, and I just ran a touch wide and got a bit of oversteer, so I wasn't quite as quick as I would have liked to as we're chasing down one of the Renaults. End of practice 2 here in Melbourne, and P7, which I think means that we need to change the difficulty ever so slightly, although Mick was 13th, which is pretty good effort, but I feel like I should be just around where Mick is, so I'm going to change the difficulty slightly, make it a little bit harder on myself going into qualifying, which is next. But P7, I felt like my lap was pretty good. I was doing a quali sim, whereas look, Hamilton, who's quickest, was on the medium, so it'd be interesting to see where we are in quali. So our resource points go up, team acclaim also up, and hopefully we can start to get that up as quickly as possible and get more sponsors on board and boost Mick to hopefully be quicker and quicker. Qualifying day here in Melbourne, looking at all the data as you can see, and it looks very overcast, dry conditions, but the track temperature may be down, which might help us. You never know, so we'll have to wait and see, but let's get into it and see how we get on. I have upped the difficulty a little bit from practice because P7 was way too high for us, so hopefully going into qualifying it's going to be a little bit more realistic, and hopefully we can get close to Mick, and he's our benchmark really. If we can beat Mick every time, then I think we're doing a good job. Time for our first qualifying lap. Try and get a banker in to start with, and then see how we go on our second run later in that session. Onto our quali run, getting a banker in to start with, very doom and gloomy as you can see, but hopefully that means the tyres aren't going to overheat along the lap, and we'll see where we end up at the end. I will do another lap at the end. First lap done, a 1:22.8. Didn't get the best run through a couple of the corners, so we'll have to wait and see how we do on our second run. 2 tenths off Mick heading into our final run. I'll put a new set of tyres on. Hopefully we can get past him. Only 2 tenths off, so not too bad, but I know I made a few mistakes on the lap as well, so you can see he's a lot quicker than we are through sector 3, which is where I made a mistake, so we'll see how we go. Much better run through there. Only a 10th up though from our previous best. Much better lap on this second set of tyres, 8 tenths quicker on our previous best, and that puts us P14 going in to the last minute and a half of this session, and I wonder if we'll be able to get out of Q1 and into Q2 in our very first Grand Prix. So the end of Q1 here in Melbourne, and we've managed to get out of Q1 into Q2 for the very first time in our first Grand Prix, which I upped the difficulty before, and I felt like that lap was as best as I could have done. I don't think I was going to be able to match even Gasly. I'm not sure there was much more than 2 tenths in the lap, so we'll give it a go. Maybe I'll be able to find a little bit of time, but I found 8 tenths from run 1 to run 2, and it said on the tyres it would be maybe 2 tenths, so awesome result to start with. Our home Grand Prix, quicker than Raikkonen, quicker than Magnussen and Grosjean in both the Haas's, so we'll have to wait and see how we go, but it might be a case of putting the difficulty up again for the next session if we can. We'll see how we go, but yeah, delighted with that. Mick didn't really have a good run, unfortunately, but he was only 4 tenths off, which shows how close it is, so maybe the difficulty was okay and I just put the lap together, but we'll have to wait and see. Throughout the series, this is going to be one of those things where we change it and get it more difficult and more difficult as I become more accustomed to the wheel, to driving on the tracks and all those sorts of things. Now, I used 2 sets in that first session because I didn't think I'd get out, but I wanted to be as high up as possible. So I'm only going to get 1 run on a new set of tyres. I'm going to push myself. I'm going to give myself 4 minutes left in the session and see where we end up, and hopefully I can get a good time out of the car. 2 minutes left
remaining
in the session.
Need a good lap here, or we're out of qualifying.
Just check. Good start, lovely run through turn 1. We lost a bit of time there, dropping down a gear too many. Coming over the line, and hopefully we'll be able to get into the 21s. 21.7, really happy with that. I found 3/10 comparison to my Q1 time, and we're actually ahead of the racing point of Lance Stroll and the Alpha of Giovinazzi. So P16 for our first qualifying session. The change I made to the difficulty obviously worked because I wasn't able to get that much higher up, but there wasn't much left in that lap at all. So hopefully we'll have a good race, get a good start, and maybe we'll be able to have a good strategy as well and see where we end up in the race. Melbourne for the start of our first Grand Prix back with Brabham Formula 1. I can't wait to get going, to start this season off with a bang. And as I'm sure some of you would have been aware that there's been a bit of a glitch with the guy walking on water in the background. Bloody hell.
And with 22 cars on the grid, how quickly can the new team find their footing? Well, it's great to be back, Anthony Davidson. We've got a lot to talk about this year.
That's right, Crofty. It felt like a long winter, but it's good to finally be back. I have to think the usual suspects will battle it out at the front, but there are always going to be some teething problems early on in the season, so whoever can keep on top of their issues will have the advantage today.
As I mentioned earlier, we're up to 11 teams this season, with a new entry run by, well, of all things, an owner-driver. That's something we haven't seen in this sport since Hector Raback over 4 decades ago. So how are they looking so far?
It's hard to imagine how a small operation like that could survive in the ruthless world of Formula 1. And yet here they are, first ever race looking surprisingly strong. But there are no points for qualifying. Let's see how they fare in the Grand Prix proper.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Vettel, Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Albon, Ricciardo, Perez, Sainz and Lance Stroll, Ocon, Norris, Pierre Gasly and Giovinazzi, Kvyat, Mr. Monaco, Kimi Räikkönen and Kevin Magnussen, Schumacher, Russell, Grosjean. They'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty, and Nicholas Latifi. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Ready for the first Grand Prix of Brabham's return. Let's have a look at our strategy. Personally, I think I'm going to go for the soft to hard. I want to be quick at the start of the race, try and get track position, and see if we can maybe hold some people off and get up the grid first, and then maybe we might drop back, but that's okay. Be interested to see our pace on the hard tyre comparison to everyone else, but we'll do that. And then as far as fuel's conserved, I've gone for just a little bit over. I'm not sure what our fuel strategy is going to be like and how good our car is on fuel just yet, so I've gone a little bit conservative just to see, and if by the end of the race we've got plenty of fuel, then for the Bahrain Grand Prix next round I'll know whether we'll be able to lower that a little bit and cut it a bit finer, because the lighter our car is at the beginning, the quicker we're going to be. So let's go. Ready for the Melbourne Grand Prix. Overtake engaged just off the line, helps a little bit. 5 red lights and away we go. Good start, past one. A little bit of a touch, see if we can go around the outside of Norris here, a little bit of on the grass. I'm going to stay inside here. Up the inside of Giovinazzi. So we go up into P12, little lift through here. Stroll's just checked up a bit, so we make a little bit of contact, but We've got away with that massively there, up to 11th. And now we set our sights on Esteban Ocon in P10. The points positions are so close. And Stroll's dropped back, but I'm sure as the race progresses, our times will get slower. And Stroll and the others behind will be able to catch up as I've run out of ERS.
That's what we like to see at the start. Well done.
Oh, that didn't feel so good. End of lap 1. We've got a fantastic start. A little bit wide there, but we'll get away with that. We'll be defending. I'm going to go inside here, try and force Stroll round the outside as he makes the move. I've gone a little bit too deep there, but we've got away with it. Pushed him wide enough. So we've run slightly wide there, but that's fine. And we'll keep him behind for now. And I can imagine this train of cars is going to stay behind us for quite a while. Stroll coming right up behind us now. Got overtake mode on. Try and keep him at bay there. Just go inside. And the key there is to drop him back. I want to create as much of a gap for myself as possible into there and on the exit. So what I've done is I've allowed him to get up the outside, but then I've pushed him right out wide. I've used all the road on the exit and I made him back out of the move. And you can see behind us, it's paid off as he's dropped back, and now we can set our sights on getting up this grid. And I think Ocon and the elite pack ahead have just got too much pace for us at the moment. Norris right behind us now. I reckon I'll be able to stay outside there. Used a bit of the ERS there just to try and bridge that gap. He's got DRS, so I'm going to use my electric system to try and get as much speed as possible in a straight line.
Our gap to the car in front is 5.6 seconds.
Norris coming past us. I made a little mistake there. Didn't think he'd be that close, but I'd expect the McLaren to be quicker than we are. And is that going to be the first of many to get past us in this Grand Prix?
The car ahead is a second a lap faster than you.
Slightly demoralising, that. A second a lap. I think we probably slightly overachieved in qualifying and where we were. And first lap managed to get past quite a few, but see how we go. See Stroll and the AlphaTauri behind us coming through the kink left, flick it right, and running just a little bit over the curve. I felt like at this point in the Grand Prix I was able to get good consistency, but you can see the train behind us is really starting to catch up, and as we come onto the straight I haven't got any DRS to rely on, and they're going to start really reeling me in now. Keep Stroll to our outside. Drop it down to third. Managed to get out of that quite nicely. But they're going to start coming so quickly. I'm going to stay outside. I feel like I've got enough. As Stroll does send it up the inside, I'll stay around the outside here because I've got the inside for the next one. Over maybe a bit too much curb there, runner wide, but I've managed to keep him behind for now. But they're all going to really start coming quick here. It's understeer. I can feel the car really struggling now. Be super careful with all my inputs. See as we come out of there, managed to keep us. Some people are starting to pit, and oh, Vettel, what are you playing at me? You'd think that the AI would stop as they're coming out of the pits, wouldn't you? But that means we've got wing damage, and Stroll's trying to come past us here, and I'm understeering like crazy now with this lack of downforce that I've got. You can see how much understeer I'm having. You can see as we're defending from Stroll, I was just pushing so much, make a little bit of contact, and then coming through the left-hander, I was just pushing so much. Really struggling with the car here. after the damage taken from Vettel. The train behind us is getting pretty massive, but luckily it's our pit window. We might lose a few spots because of that wing damage we took from Vettel. Stroll right behind us. Looks like Gasly as well, and one of the Haas cars. As Mick continues, no double stacking for us. We're our first pit stop, fitting the hard tyres and a new front wing going on, which means that Stroll's going to get out past us, Gasly's going to get out past us, and Romain Grosjean is out past us. We've got some work to do here. We've come out in P20. It's not ideal, still a long way to go in this Grand Prix. As Russell checks us up a bit too much, I really want to press on and try and get ahead, up with Grosjean, up with the others. So we make a late move up the inside here. Managed to make that happen. I'm really happy with that move. DRS and the RS boosts. See Mick, we're going to come out ahead of Mick, but not ahead of Magnussen. So hopefully these two Haas cars are going to hurt themselves here. Try and battle with each other. Albon's out of the race. I wonder what's happened to him. That is another place up for us though. It's a short shift like an idiot. I'm going to try and make this move up the inside here. As he locks up and runs wide. Great move there. Get rid of overtake. And now let's set our sights on K-Mag up ahead. Up into 16th. My dad and Kevin's dad actually used to race together at Panos in the American Le Mans series. So, got a real family battle potentially coming up ahead.
You've moved up to P15. We are now in P15.
P15 as Raikkonen makes a pit stop. Comes out just behind Grosjean. Haven't really got the pace to match him. He's just pulling away ever so slightly. Every time I pull up close to him, I probably make a mistake and don't really get the most out of the lap. I'm conscious that with 10 laps to go, I've still got a fair amount of use in my tyres that I need to have, and I don't want to get to the last few laps and be under pressure with no grip. So just trying to push as hard as I can, but at the same time remain conservative in the way that I'm driving.
Okay, you're catching the car ahead, but remember, we need to get to the end of the race on these tyres.
Kimi's coming right up behind us. He's on the medium tyre. I'm not going to fight this one. He's been a lot quicker. He's on the better tyre. I'll let him go through.
He might make a mistake.
But if we can stay with him in the DRS, I'll use my ERS just to keep up. If we can stay with him and stay in the DRS, then maybe it might give us a chance to catch up with Grosjean up ahead. Sorry, Magnussen. What am I talking about? The other Haas. Hopefully these two are going to hold each other up massively, which it looks like they are. And if Raikkonen and Magnussen keep battling now, it might just give us the opportunity to get past Mags and try and keep him behind for the rest of this Grand Prix. With only 4 or 5 laps to go, I'm going to have to give it my all here.
Gap to teammate behind is 8.0 seconds.
Good run here. We'll get a bit of aero push. But we've managed to get through there. A little bit too much curb. DRS and ERS engaged. I'm going to go round the outside, try and outbrake him as he comes up the inside. Pushes me a little bit wide, but I've managed to get away with that one. Had a little bit of oversteer, but it's a great move. as I push through there. Bloody hell. Max coming back at us. I'm going to go inside. Defend that inside line. Maybe I might be able to just go up the inside of him here. There we go. That's a good move. I forced him wide as well on the exit and just dropped back. That moves us up to P15. 4 laps left. Can we keep him behind us? I'm being told that I need to come into the pits as K-Mag is coming up behind us. With only 2 laps to go, I'm hoping that the glitch where if you don't change the tyre settings before the race, it doesn't register that you've changed tyres and it says you've only done 1 compound and you get disqualified. I'm going to find out if we get disqualified now. And we aren't, but I'm going to go hard inside, final lap. Big defence. This is a big lap coming up for us. And we've just managed to make him drop back enough. And hopefully we've got enough for the rest of this lap to keep Mags at bay as Lewis Hamilton wins the Grand Prix. Nearly lapping us. Should have enough. So we get to the end of this Grand Prix now without any troubles. Keep it clean and consistent. We'll be just fine. And that's something that's so important at the end of a race. Being clean with your driving and being as consistent as possible. When you're in a position like this, ERS needs to get on just to negate the DRS that Magnussen will have. Just trying to slow it down so I don't make any mistakes here. Coming through the final corner now. He won't catch us by the time we get to the line. And what a race for us. P15. P14 even. I forgot about Kvyat just at the end, but what a race that was. I'm so happy. Driver of the day, Kimi Räikkönen, he did a good job. He was on the mediums as we were progressing through. Super happy with that. Lewis Hamilton, top step of the podium. He's used to that feeling, as are Mercedes. Mercedes team super happy, as you would be.
When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car,
4th for Leclerc. Considering the Ferrari's pace at the moment, slight overachievement.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations.
1-2 for Mercedes, with Max in 3rd.
Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
The real trophy that gets used is actually called the Sir Jack Brabham Trophy at the Melbourne Grand Prix, and it's a replica of Jack's championship winning steering wheel. It's a shame F1 don't have the real trophies that they use in Formula 1, which is a shame. Maybe they do in other tracks, but yeah, it's something that's pretty cool for the family, that it's the Sir Jack Brabham Trophy when you win the Australian Grand Prix. So Lewis Hamilton winning the first Grand Prix of the year from his teammate Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen in 3rd. The Ferraris looked pretty strong and a bit of a 2x2 from there. Two Mercedes, 2 Ferraris, 2 Red Bulls, 2 McLarens, 2 Racing Points, and you can see us down there in P14 and Mick Schumacher in 16th. I think that's a fantastic result for the team. 14th, I didn't expect to be that high up. Obviously a few retirements probably would have put us a bit further back, and to see Mick on pace beating the likes of the Haas and the Alfa Romeos shows that he's got pace in him as well. I mean, he was a little bit further back than us, but that's okay. It's both of our first Grand Prix in Formula 1, so I think he's done a great job. I'm really happy with his results, and let's have a look at a few highlights. Highlight of the start. Now, we got a pretty good start. I was really happy with how we got off the line. We was able to get past a couple, and I was a little bit maybe conservative into turn on as we got past the AlphaTauri there. You can see that green and gold beast in the middle. Up the inside of the AlphaTauri, squeezed him out, tried to go around the outside of Lando Norris, which was a move that was able to work. The train following us around Albert Park here in Melbourne. This section here is so fast. Can't appreciate how quick it is when you see it in real life. It's just phenomenal. And we got quite lucky that we got a good start, because this train, as they were battling, weren't so close to us, as Lance Stroll trying to make a move up the inside. I touched the grass a little bit, try to run wide, and we're able to keep him at bay, but alas, it wasn't for too long. He managed to get past us and pull away, as you can see here. Following him close by, and we were able to make him move. And this from Vettel was absolutely outrageous. You'd think that he'd back off into turn 1 as he's coming out the pits, but no, we got wing damage and we had to pit. Luckily we were pitting at the same time on that next lap, but if that was earlier in the race and Vettel was say on a 2-stop, I mean, foolish driving in my opinion, but probably would have got a penalty in real life too, but oh well, it is what it is. And this move on Grosjean was pretty big. Up the inside, blocked him out on the outside. You can see he just struggled to get the car back in because we pushed him so wide. It was a good move there, unable to set our sights on K-Mag. A nice slow motion view of the Brabham in its green and gold with TriStar sponsor on the side. Following the Haas through here, a little bit wide there, but I was able to get a really nice run around the outside, and I was able just to outbrake myself just a little bit. Ran wide on the grass, but managed to make the move stick. And as we come across the line to finish our first Grand Prix in P14.
So that was an exciting race from our perspective. Let's have yours.
It certainly was. It certainly was an exciting race.
All expectations. What's your secret?
Oh, well, I think we probably did break expectations for this first weekend. What's our secret? There's no secret. I think I'm going to boost the team, and the real morale of the team is going to be really important, bringing their acclaim up. So I'm going to say there's no secret. It's about having a great team and car.
You scraped the walls a few times. Were you struggling for grip?
At times I was struggling for a bit of grip, but I'm going to say the car didn't have enough downforce, which is probably true. Our aero package is reasonable, but I think it's somewhere we can really improve.
Appreciate your time.
Driver acclaim's going up nicely, mix being boosted a bit, and our team acclaim up to 2 now, boosting up nearly at 3, which is great. And as our team acclaim goes up, we can bring in more sponsors as we go. Base payout's good, had a bit of damage obviously, Vettel driving out of the pit straight into us. A little bit more money in the bank, not too much though, obviously we want to get that up as quickly as possible. Weekly resources coming in, running costs. Have a look at our activities here. So we've got 2 days for a little bit of activations. So I'm going to go for power team building. It's going to cost a little bit of money, but hopefully our powertrain team will be boosted by that before the next Grand Prix. Advanced time, power team building's been done, and we're ready for the Bahrain Grand Prix. That's where I'm going to leave it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it. Again, like and subscribe to the channel for more F1 2020 game content, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.